Okay, let's jump in. Today we're talking about the piano in jazz. And it's such a unique instrument because it's not just part of the band.
No, in many ways it is the band.
Exactly. It's like the secret weapon, the foundation, and pretty much the entire history of jazz, all wrapped up in 88 keys.
It's a really amazing story of adaptation. You have this huge kind of formal European instrument from the 18th century,
Right.
and it had to totally reinvent itself over and over to keep up with this new American art form. So today we're going to walk you through how it went from being just a loud box in a noisy club to this incredibly complex tool for musical expression.
And we're going to focus on the specific styles and techniques that really changed the game.
That's the mission.
So let's start where it all began, New Orleans. What was the piano's job there in the early days?
Well, it solved a really big problem. See, early jazz was this amazing mix of European harmony, chords and structure with these powerful African rhythms.
Okay.
The piano was pretty much the only instrument around that could do both of those things at the same time.
So it had this dual role. It was the rhythm, keeping that steady beat going, and it could also be the lead instrument because, well, one person can play a whole bunch of notes at once. Melody, chords, everything.
And you can't forget the practical side of it. I mean, think about where this music was being played.
Crowded clubs, noisy bars.
Exactly. Loud places. The piano was just this massive, heavy thing made of wood and iron. It was loud enough to cut through all that noise, the dancing, the talking, everything. It had to be.
That foundation leads us straight into ragtime, which is where the piano really steps into the spotlight as, like, a star instrument.
It really does. And the key word for ragtime is syncopation.
Right, that ragged rhythm. It's what makes you want to move.
That's it, exactly. All syncopation means is that you're putting the emphasis on the offbeats, the beats you wouldn't normally expect. It gives it that bouncy, infectious feel.
And the technique to do that is fascinating. It's like the player's hands are doing two completely different jobs.
A total division of labor. The left hand is playing this super steady, almost military march kind of bass line. Just boom, chick, over and over.
Unchained.
Completely. And that frees up the right hand to play all those fast syncopated melodies on top of it. And, people like Scott Joplin wrote this stuff down as really complex sheet music.
Oh, it was formal.
Very. And that helped bridge the gap between that classical written tradition and the more improvisational rhythmic feel that was coming into jazz.
But that structure didn't stick around for long. When we get to the 1920s and 30s in New York, we hit stride piano, and that's a whole different animal.
Oh, it's a completely different level of athleticism.
Yeah.
Stride is the ultimate one-man band style.
And the name stride literally describes what the player's left hand is doing, right?
Perfectly. The left hand isn't just playing a simple bass line. It's physically leaping, striding across the low end of the keyboard. It hits a low bass note on beat 1, and then jumps way up, maybe an octave or more, to hit a chord on beat 2. And it does this over and over.
That's what creates that huge, bouncy rhythm. It sounds like there's a bass player and a guitar player, but it's just one person's left hand.
It's incredibly athletic. I mean, you had to have serious physical strength to keep that up for hours. That's why we call James P. Johnson the father of stride piano. He really mastered that power and speed.
And this led to a whole culture of pianists having these musical battles. Right?
Oh, absolutely. Because it was so difficult and required so much stamina, players would get together in clubs and challenge each other. Who can play fastest? Who can play the longest without messing up? Who's got the most creative ideas?
So it wasn't just music, it was almost like a sport.
It was a physical contest. It really put the pianist on a pedestal as this dazzling solo performer.
But then jazz itself gets bigger. We move into the swing era, the big band era, and suddenly the piano player can't be the solo star anymore. They have to, learn to be a team player.
That is the perfect way to describe it, yeah.
Yeah.
You're going from a small 5-piece band to a giant orchestra with maybe 20 musicians on stage.
Playing in these huge ballrooms.
Right. And the piano's job has to change. It's no longer carrying everything. It becomes part of the support system.
And let's be real, just getting the piano on stage was a huge job. A standard grand piano weighs, 900 pounds?
It's a monster.
That's
So it really had to earn its keep musically. And its new job brings us to probably the most important skill in jazz piano, comping.
Okay, comping, that sounds like insider language. What does that actually mean for the player?
So comping is just short for accompanying or complementing. Instead of playing all the time, the pianist plays these short, rhythmic stabs of chords.
Like punctuation.
Yes, exactly. They're placed in the gaps, in the spaces left by the main soloist, like a saxophone player. It's a musical conversation.
So you have to be listening really, really closely.
Intently. You listen to what the soloist is doing, and you respond in real time with a chord that either supports their idea or maybe suggests a new direction for them to go. It's about being sensitive and smart, not flashy. It's a complete mental shift from stride.
That conversation gets a lot faster in the 1940s with bebop. This stuff was revolutionary. It took jazz out of the dance hall and into the art gallery.
And the tempos were just insane. We're talking over 200 beats per minute.
Wow.
Yeah, this was music created by musicians, for musicians. People like Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie wanted to play stuff that was so fast and complex you couldn't possibly dance to it.
So the piano technique had to evolve again just to keep up.
It had to completely change. Pianists like Bud Powell basically threw out the old two-handed stride style. He focused on playing these incredibly fast, horn-like single-note lines with his right hand.
He made the piano sound like a saxophone.
He really did. It was suddenly as quick and nimble as any wind instrument, and the left hand, its job was just to play these quick, sparse little chords. We call them voicings.
And the chords themselves got more complicated. You mentioned they were dissonant. What does that mean? Like they sound a little off or tense?
Exactly. They're chords that create a sense of tension, of friction. Compared to the smooth, pretty sounds of swing, bebop chords used a lot of altered notes, sharps, and flats that made things sound much more complex and modern.
So the piano wasn't just for parties anymore.
Not at all. This is the moment it became a tool for really high-level, high-speed musical thinking.
And of course, after all that intensity, the pendulum had to swing back. In the 1950s, we get cool jazz.
Yes, a total reaction against the fire of bebop. Cool jazz is all about a more relaxed sound, softer playing, longer notes. It's more about creating a mood and a texture.
Pianists like Bill Evans, he brought this very thoughtful, almost delicate quality to the instrument.
He did. He showed it could be emotional without being loud. And this is when players started looking back to classical music again, especially French composers like Claude Debussy, for ideas about harmony and color.
But the really big idea from this era, the one that changed everything, was modal jazz.
Oh, that was a true revolution.
It sounds super complicated, but the basic idea was actually to make things simpler, wasn't it?
In a way, yeah. Traditional jazz was built on these long strings of chords that changed really fast every couple of seconds. Modal jazz just threw that out.
Oh.
Instead of focusing on chords, it focused on scales, or what we call modes. So the music could just hang out on one single sound, one single feeling for a long, long time.
Which gives the player way more freedom.
Immense freedom. Pianists like Wynton Kelly, who played with Miles Davis, could suddenly explore melodies and rhythms without being locked into a constantly changing chord progression. The music just opened up. It became way less predictable.
No, we can't move on without talking about one person who just breaks all the molds. Thelonious Monk.
Monk, the ultimate original. He doesn't fit neatly into any of these boxes.
Right. Well, everyone else in bebop was obsessed with playing super fast and clean. Monk was known for his percussive style. It sounds kind of jagged and angular.
And he used silence. Silence was just as important to him as the notes he played.
He even had this famous habit of getting up from the piano in the middle of a song and just dancing for a minute while the band kept playing.
He showed that your personality is part of the performance. His compositions are famous for using what some people would call wrong notes, but in his music, they sound absolutely perfect.
He proved that having a unique voice and a deep sense of rhythm was more important than just technical speed.
Absolutely. His impact on how modern pianists think about harmony is just massive.
Okay, let's jump forward to the 1970s. We get jazz fusion, which is this mix of jazz with the power of rock and funk, and this totally changes the sound of the piano.
It had to. An acoustic piano just can't compete with a wall of amplifiers from an electric guitar.
So pianists had to go electric.
They did. Pioneers like Chick Corea and Herbie Hancock started using electric keyboards, like the Fender Rhodes, and then synthesizers.
And suddenly you have this whole new world of sounds. You can add distortion, echo, things that are physically impossible on a traditional piano.
The whole sound profile changed. It got louder, sharper, and from a practical standpoint, it was a game changer for touring bands.
Right. We talked about the 900-pound grand piano. An electric keyboard weighs maybe 30 to 50 pounds.
You can just pick it up and walk away. It completely changed the logistics of being a touring jazz musician.
So bringing it all together to today, what does a modern jazz pianist do with all this history?
A modern player, they really have access to everything we've just talked about. They're fluent in all of these languages. You'll hear them use the rhythmic drive of stride, the fast lines of bebop, the harmonies of cool jazz, and the electric sounds of fusion, sometimes all in the same song.
So if a student is trying to learn this today, what's the big takeaway for them? It's more than just learning your scales.
Oh, it's so much more. You have to learn about playing by ear, not just reading music. You have to know all 88 keys on that piano and be comfortable everywhere,
And you have to put in the time.
at least an hour a day, every single day. But maybe most important, you have to learn to play with other people. That's where you learn how to have that musical conversation we were talking about.
So the whole journey of the piano and jazz is really the story of endless reinvention.
It's the perfect blend of tradition and innovation. It started as this big, loud machine and became one of the most sophisticated expressive tools in all of music. It's the bedrock, but it's always evolving.
Which leaves us with the big question: how will the next generation of players redefine those 88 keys?
You'll just have to keep listening.
Good luck with your studies. See you next time.